Hello Smart Spinners, Bakudrański here. Welcome in Preflop Master Series. Today we'll talk about Heads Up Big Blind. So take your notebook and do some notes. Let's go straight to the top points. What you should know about Heads Up Big Blind is it's a very dynamic position, so you should be ready for making a lot of adjustments. Stick to the charts, read less. Our charts are designed on population tendency, so if you don't have any reads, trust our charts and play by them. If you will gain some reads, then it's a time when you should play accordingly to your reads, not to the charts. So charts are your base and you should stick to them if you don't have any sample size, but if you will get to the point when you know something about your opponent, you should adjust. Sizings. So what sizing should you use? You can find it below your charts. So our basic strategy against mini raises is wide flat range. It's very important to look to the charts and stick to them because many new players have tendency to play less hands than they should. So they are losing a lot because of that. We should have tight free bet all-in and not all-in range. It's because readless or opponents are not playing trashy hands enough often to justify bluffs from our side. Against limps, we should have very wide isolation non-all-in range with top and medium range. It's for value. It's because our opponents at the beginning don't limp with strong hands, they limp with medium and weak hands, they call with medium hands and you are winning against them post-flop, and they fold weakest hands. That's why our isolation range at the beginning should be so wide. But it doesn't mean we should bluff with them, because still they call a lot against isolation, and if you will stay with a very weak range, post-flop, out of position, you will lose. So if you don't have any reads, just play by charts, don't bluff against their limps. Here I have prepared some list of common adjustments. You will need that because after some time you always get some sample size on your opponent and you can use it by playing the adjustments we recommend and crush your opponent even harder. So you have to be prepared for free betting non-all-in with weak holdings against wide mini raise, free betting all-in with medium holdings against wide mini raise. So if your opponent is mini raising a lot of medium range and trashy hands, this is a perfect opportunity to win against your opponent just by free betting him, both non-all-in and all-in. I will explain what type of holdings are good enough to free bet non-all-in and to free bet all-in, and also when it's a good spot to start using these ranges. You should be ready for playing more hands against passive opponents post-flop. So even if we recommend some flatting range, if you are playing against a very passive opponent, so opponent who is mini raising more than population and he's very passive, for example his c-bet is like 40 or 50% and he falls to your probes, then you can even play wider range than we suggest in the charts. Against limps, most common adjustment is isolating with bluffs against weak limp range. So if you will see on the showdown your opponent is limping 7 deuce off or this type of holdings, then you can assume he's playing very wide from the small blind. I think it's a good spot to start bluffing them. Checking more medium hands against strong limb range is another adjustment. So your opponent might play by folding a lot of weak hands and calling with medium range and some of stronger hands. Then it's not a good idea to raise with hands like Jack 8 off or 10-8 off. Then you should start to check back more this type of the hands. So you have two scenarios. You are playing against the very weak limb range and you can start to bluff with weak holdings. Or you can play against stronger limb range, and it is a point when you are not bluffing, of course, and you can even decrease your sizing, your range of isolation, especially the medium hands. Here I have prepared examples of what kind of range should be raised as all-in and what kind of range should be raised non-all-in. On the right you have points when free betting starts be better than flatting. So let's start with free bet all-in. It's the dark blue. At 25 bigs, if your opponent plays 85% and more, free betting starts be better than flatting, and this is a point when you free bet these hands. At 25 and at 20 bigs, it's 70% and more. At 16 bigs, it's 60% and more. These hands have the biggest gap between flatting and free betting, so that's why only these cards are good to free bet all in. The yellow one, as you can see, it's our bottom of calling range or our top of folding range. They don't play that well as the connectors when we jam with them, but they are doing fine as bluffs if your opponent raises 70% and more. What is very important that you free bet non-all-in as bluff mostly at 20 bigs and more, because then you have fine ratio with fold equity and size of your free bet. Most of the time you should raise around 2.5x of your opponent raise. So if your opponent raise to 40, then you can raise to like 100. So yeah, this is what you should know about free bets. Good luck to implement this strategy. It will be really profitable against aggressive opponents. Let's move from theory to practice, and I show you hands that are far away from chart recommendation. And it's because I gained some sample size on my opponents, and now I can adjust to them and crush them to the limit. So let's see this example. Our opponent decided to check and we have ace 3 off. Usually at this stack depth we are just jamming with this hand. But we are jamming with this hand because our opponent's limb range is very weak and they don't cover it with strong hands enough. But what is important before taking this decision is that what is his VPIP? Okay, it's very high, but also he has limb trap on almost any stack depth. So here, and here he decided to limb trap us, and also he had some limb raise range. As you can see here, 3 out of 6 means he really trapped a lot. So I would suggest to check back with this hand. It is our bottom of isolation all-in range, and if our opponent cover his weak range with some stronger range in his limb range, or he just trap a lot, we can't play profitable this hand by jamming. I mean, we can, but check back will have a better expectation. Okay, so what we face here, it's a mini raise at 18.5 bigs, and we are playing against an opponent who is very aggressive. As you can see, on 13 bigs plus, he's playing 100 hands by mini raising, and he's also c-betting a lot. So hand like ace 6 off is like definitely profitable free bet jam, and we should just free bet it, and if we get called from time to time, it happened, but we are winning huge by free betting this hand. Like flatting with this hand, it is just a spaz, because now we have opportunity to gain way more by just free betting all in. Another spot, we are playing on 17 bigs and also playing against an opponent who mini raise a ton. So the same scenario here, we just should jam this hand. We can also look at his c-bet, but it doesn't matter. If his c-bet would be on like 40% level, still his mini raise is too wide to justify free bet all in here. Calling here is just a spaz, so we should free bet this kind of hands against such aggressive opponent. What we face here, okay, it's 6-4 offsuited on 24 bigs. I think free bet all in is also profitable here, but I believe free bet non all in is more profitable. The thing is, the higher blinds effective stack is, the more we have to risk if we free bet it all in. So I would suggest to free bet it with chips, and that should do the work easily. So make it like around 2.5x. I decided to make it just a little bit more or less, and that's a perfect play. So be prepared for such plays, especially on such stack size, effective stack size with this kind of holdings, and you should do way better from the big blind. Okay, so we face a limp and we have like 3-6 off. So it's a classic checkback, right? But if we'll take into consideration that our opponent has very high VPIP and what's most important, very high limp fold, I would really suggest to ISO with this kind of holding. The thing is, if we check back, of course, we'll not hit often enough, but still what we can do readless. But with reads, when we know our opponent will fold a lot of his medium range, a lot of his bottom range, then we are gaining more by isolating. So this is the perfect spot just for isolation. Okay, mini raise from very aggressive opponent, 76% of mini raises on 16-20 and 87 on 20 bigs plus. Very aggressive post flop. So this is a perfect example when we can free bet non all in and free bet all in. In this case, I decided to make it non all in because effective stack size is 24 bigs, so it's a huge. On 19 bigs, I will probably jump against such wide mini raise, but free betting non all in here is perfectly fine. Okay, we are playing against Smart Spinner, very good player, but against me he's limp folding a ton. It's not bad if I am not isolating him enough, so that's fine, but I should definitely use it as my advantage to win against such good player. Checking back with those free suited Against very good regular will not make much money. So if I have a chance of isolating him and a big chance of success, I definitely take it. So most important thing, he doesn't limp trap me at all, and his limp fold is very high. Also, we can see that he's not limp raising or something like that. So this is like perfect spot to raise with no hand. So I decided to make it 2.5x, and it should work most of the time. So here I showed you some examples when it's better to play different than chart says. So the more sample size you have, the more adjust you should do. And keep attention to the charts, learn how you should adjust, attend to coachings if you don't know something and you are not sure how you should adjust. But I think this video will be very helpful, and your play from heads up big blind, especially preflop, will skyrocket. Thanks guys for watching, and see you in the next videos. Bye.